Hey, what's up with it? It's your boy chedda-loc back in the building once again. Today's guest, I got the homeboy, the OG, Down.
What up,
Mr.
gangster?
Country RapTunes, man.
All day, every day.
Appreciate you coming through, bro.
Man, appreciate you,
Yes,
Chedda.
sir, yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? D-Town of Houston, man. Y'all know what's up.
Y'all know
so,
what it
yeah,
is.
Down, shit up. Go ahead and let them know what's up, bro. Go ahead and let these people know a little something about you for those that don't know.
Man,
Little introduction.
Man,
you know?
listen, I've been in the music business 25 years. Started out, just from being in high school, beating on the table and rapping here and there, until, most of my homeboys around me that I was selling weed to, they were all, getting these phone calls for these record deals, Hawk, Big Pokey, Screw. All these guys were in major talks about 300,000-400,000. I'm like, well, damn, if my homeboys are doing it, shit, I know I can do this shit, right? So I started working on a CD that was called By Prescription Only, and I basically got all my homeboys who are just happened to be screwed up clique members to get on the tracks, and one of the tracks was called the Country RapTunes. And the Country RapTunes kind of took off in the early 2000s, and man, we just been on this magical journey ever since. Did a short Fed time visit, and we'll get into that in a minute, but had to go sit down, go do some vacation time, go chill with the homeboys. But now I'm back fresh out the feds, and we're working on some animation right now. Dope Heads, you know what it is?
Yeah, Dope Heads. Y'all go check that out.
Yes, sir.
Now, yeah, bro, there's a lot of points that I want to go back to, but one of the ones you were talking about right now, I said the guys you went to school with. So you went to school with a lot of the SUC members?
So I grew up on the southwest side of Houston, right? And back then, I was hustling a lot of weed. And, when you're on the south side, you meet a lot of people. And so, you meet one person and, when you got good weed, everybody kind of knows your name, right? It kind of, everybody wants that the livest shit. And gas. So they want the gas. And so what happened was back in the 2000s, weed wasn't like it is today, where everybody got weed. Like California was just decriminalizing stuff. You could get some stuff from California, and that's about it. The live stuff came from California.
The drug.
But I had a connect here in Houston who I learned how to grow from, where he was growing it in his bedroom. Like he was growing that shit, like Northern Lights number 5, Super Skunk. He was growing that, what people were talking about in California. He was growing Cannabis Cup winners at his house. So, my weed back then was fresh, Houston, homegrown. It never traveled in a bag for a month. It wasn't put on no shelf. It wasn't turned down by a dispensary. It was that real gas. And so my name got around fairly quickly about, man, if you want the gas and you got the paper, you got to go fuck with Down. Yeah. Back then we were selling, grams. If somebody wanted a gram, $25-$30 a gram. But most people would get 7s or, a half ounce. And back then, we would only get weed in about quarter pounds at a time, because it took almost 100 days to grow it, and then to bag it, and then only to have a quarter pound or a half pound of the stuff. It was very limited, right? So the prices were very expensive back then, and serving weed and meeting people, and of course being a fan of Screw music. I knew a lot of the people out of the Screwed Up clique. I knew Hawk. Hawk introduced me to Screw. Screw introduced me to Big Pokey, and it just went on from there. And having Southwest Wholesale and Robert Gilliman in our backyard, basically, who was basically a large independent music distribution company, we were able to do independent music. And what that basically means is, we would go and make a CD, and we would take it to Robert Gilliman, and Robert Gilliman would give us enough money to go promote it. And if you had your hustling skills and you had the right people on the CDs, you could sell 100,000 units in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas.
This was the out the trunk days.
Out the trunk. Like, I distinctly remember traveling to Dallas, going to the bazaar, going to T-Town, dropping off some CDs with George, and
Out of Lopez.
every 2 weeks you going to pick up paper and drop off another 250 CDs, and you start this routine where you travel down to Corpus, then you head up to San Antonio, you drive into Dallas, you head over to Shreveport, you go to Monroe, you go down through Alexandria, you go to New Orleans, and then book it back home. And so you start doing this little tour out, so much. And at the time, Kiki was on the road. Kiki had just done Southside.
And he was blowing up.
Yeah, he was just blowing up. He was still independent, about to sign his first major record deal with Jam Down. And Kiki and I were friends. And my brother actually knew Patrick, who was one of the CEOs for Jam Down and Kiki's label. And we were blessed enough that we could go open up for Kiki at a lot of these shows. And we learned very early on that show money is cool, but all the money is really made from the merchandise. So by selling posters and selling CDs and selling t-shirts, that's where we made a lot of our money. Yeah, the show money was cool, but the majority of the money came from selling the merchandise. So we would set up tables and we would sell merchandise after the show. So our thing was, hey, let us get on early, get off the stage so we can go sell merchandise. Where most people are like, no, I want to be the headliner, I want to go last. But there's no real opportunity to sell anything. Once the lights come up, everybody goes home, Yeah. So we started getting into the routine of going and doing shows with Kiki and then, selling merchandise. So when the Country RapTune came out and Houston started playing the Country RapTune and Dallas started playing the Country RapTune, the game was over. Every major label came down here with a checkbook. Dallas and Houston are 2 top 10 markets in a driving distance. You're very lucky if you live in Texas to have Dallas and Houston so close together.
2 of the biggest markets.
It's huge markets, and if you can raise enough ruckus, right? If you can raise enough buzz, everybody is looking at Dallas and Houston. I think Dallas is number 2 and Houston's number 3 or 3 and 4 or whatever it may be, right? Yeah. So if you're able to raise enough noise in these 2 cities, you'll have every major looking at you, and that's basically what happened with us. We were out there making noise, and when we released the Country RapTune and Dallas and Houston started playing it, 979, K104, the thing just blew up, took on a life of its own. And, having Big Hawk and Big Pokey on it was a real blessing. These guys were vets from, Screw Tape days, and having them on the Country RapTune. And really, they weren't even supposed to be on the Country RapTune. The Country RapTune was supposed to be Toe Down and UGK. But what happened is Pimp C and Bun B just got off of Big Pimpin' at the same time we were trying to record Country RapTune. And Pimp C, R.I.P. to Pimp, they wanted $25K a piece, as a feature back then. And, they deserve every penny of it, but as an independent guy, you just can't spend 50 on a song, and you don't know if the song's going to be a success or not. And so, after talking to Mama Monroe and Pimp and Bun, we were unable to get them on that particular song, but we ended up putting Hawk and Big Pokey on the track, and it just went crazy. It just went off the chain.
It just took off from there.
Yeah, it just went nuts. And so when we got everything situated, I still remember this day. Mama Monroe called me, and she told me that Pimp wanted to meet with me. And whenever you meet somebody you idolize like Elvis, it's just mind blowing. To sit down.
Surreal.
To sit down with Pimp C and talk about music theory and to go as deep as the Beatles and how he's breaking down the song structure and Toe Down, stop writing 16 bars. You need to be writing 8s and 12s and bring the hooks back in more. And I'm just trying to soak up as much game as I possibly can, And so, unfortunately, we didn't get Pimp on a track before he passed, but we've got Bun on a couple songs, Chicken Fried Steak with Slim Thug and Hawk and Bun B. And so we were able to, still, do some stuff with them later down the line.
Yeah.
So
what year was this when Country RapTunes dropped?
So Country RapTunes dropped like 2000, 2001. Chicken Fried Steak with Bun B and Slim Thug and Hawk probably came out about 2004, 2005. So, yeah, Country RapTunes was the one to kick it all off and start making some noise. And, you know, that song still gets played. So it's
classic
crazy.
for sure.
It's just one of the classics that just won't die.
I was watching the video the other day. Y'all shot that in a barn? Was this an actual farm in a barn? And
So what was really crazy about that is when we signed our deal with Elektra was part of the Warner system. So Warner Brothers, and we actually got to film the entire Country RapTunes video on the actual Dukes of Hazzard set. And we actually got to use actual cars from the actual TV show. So the Cadillac you see that Big Pokey sitting on was actually one of Boss Hogg's cars in production back then.
Is it the orange one?
So I was driving the orange Benz,
Yeah.
and Big Pokey was sitting on the white Cadillac.
Yeah, that's dope.
So we took a Benz and we turned it into the General Lee. And so we had a lot of fun with that. You know, when you do something out there in Hollywood, it's not like, hey, I'm gonna get a couple of my homeboys to come shoot this video. You have trailers and you have a craft cart that's out there that there's somebody cooking food for everybody, and you know, people aren't working so many hours a day before they have to have a break and eat, and it's just totally different. And you know, we spent $500,000 on a music video. And this was back in 2000 when, you know, nobody had a $500,000 video budget except for Beyonce or Scarface or somebody like that, you know. So we were really fortunate to shoot it on the actual Warner Brothers set of the Dukes of Hazzard. Man, we had fun. We flipped a fucking car, like just crazy shit, you know. It was just one of those, you know, point in times where, you know, you had to slow down and be like, man, is this shit really happening like this? You know, so
just
it was really cool.
it.
Oh, man, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, man, that's dope, man. For real. Let's see. How'd you get the name Toe Down, bro?
So you might not know this from my appearance, but I love drugs. I love all kind of drugs.
And we all.
So, you know, one night of just having way too much fun, you know, I was searching for a name. You know, I just got out of a group called Thugs of Another Kind, and you know, we were all trying to come up with a name, like who you gonna be? And there's so many littles or bigs,
Youngs,
and, you know, youngs, and you know, all this other stuff. And man, I was just so fucked up. I was like, man, I'm Toe Down. And they're like, man, that's it. And I'm like, what? And they're like, Toe Down. I'm like, yeah, I'm Toe Down, man. I fucking can't even open my eyes. And they're like, no, that's your name. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no, my name's Brian. What are you talking about? Like, no, I'm Toe Down, man. Like, what? And so it just kind of stuck like that, you know? And it was just one of those things that, all right, that's it.
And
you know?
run with it,
And just fucking run with it, you know? Just as fuck, you know, I would go to a party and somebody bust out a bag, right? And then I'd bust out my bag. And my bag always was just bigger. It was bigger and it was better, you know? And everybody loves a party with, you know, the drug dealer. It's like, yeah, he's got some good shit over here. So, you know, being Toe Down and selling good product, man, it just took off. It really did.
Now, I know you were talking about that you've collabed with a lot of people, man. On a Big Pokey and Hawk, for instance, on the Country RapTunes. I don't know for sure that was a memorable collab, or any other ones that you did. Looking back on it, you're like, man, that was pretty fucking dope.
You know,
one that stands out to you.
We were blessed enough to get a lot of money from that Elektra deal, where we were able to build one of the first all-digital studios in Houston. At the time, everybody was recording off of analog. And for those that don't know what analog is, that's when they use these things called tapes. You know, I know that's kind of weird saying this now, but they would use tape machines. And so when we bought our equipment, people were like, man, digital, it sounds too clean. There's no warmth in it. It doesn't sound right. And we were like, man, we're going to run with Pro Tools. We're going to do a full-blown studio all in Pro Tools. And as soon as we got the studio up and running, was just about the time that Screw passed. So when there wasn't a place for people to record at Screw's house, they came to fuck with Toe Down. And we had the studio up and running, and man, some of the most memorable shit that I've witnessed if you've never seen Bun B rap or lay down a verse, or if you've never seen Lil Wayne lay down a verse, I mean, we recorded Lil Wayne's mixtapes while I went to U of H, you know? So, you know, watching people like Bun and Lil Wayne work and really know their craft and watch these, you know, guys work, it inspires you, it motivates you, it gets you to a point where like, all right, I'm watching this happen right in front of me, right? It's inspiring to the point that you want to do better, you know? And so, you know, I've been blessed to watch a lot of great people work, like, you know, from Paul Wall to Slim Thug, Little Flip, Zero, all these guys.
All legends.
You know, you sit there and you're recording them as a producer and an engineer. And as I was telling my buddy the other day, man, if you listen to music that came from Texas between 2000 and 2011, right when I got locked up, either we mixed it, mastered it, recorded it, engineered it, or produced it.
You're on the credits.
Some way, somewhere, they used our studio. Chameleonaire Riding Dirty, we recorded the bone part. Bun B brought Killer Mike into the studio for the first time. I got my first gold record through Bun. You know, recording all of, mixing all of the Paul Wall, Mike Jones stuff. All the Day Hell Broke Loose 2, On the Way to the Cap, all the Swisher House stuff like that. Was a real blessing, and working with a lot of, you know, what are legends now, you know, everybody from Baby Bash to you know, Lil Wayne. It's just been an awesome ride, man.
You said all this was going on a little bit after Screw's passing. Everybody was over there recording with you. How was Screw's passing on you? Like, how did you take it? What impact did that have on you?
Well, you know, for me, I'm just not gonna lie, it fucked me up, because at that particular point, we were in production of by prescription only. You know, the album with Country RapTunes on it, and we were gonna do a double disc where DJ Screw actually screwed down all the songs, but Screw didn't do CD mixing. He had to have the actual vinyl. And so in order to get a song on vinyl, you have to make these test presses, which are called acetates. So at that particular time, while we were getting all the acetates together, we recorded Screw's parts in our studio. And as we're getting ready for Screw to do the chopped and screwed part, he passes away.
Damn.
And we were supposed to be the Dre and Eminem of the South. Like, we were, you know, had plans to be on tour where he was the DJ, bring me out, and you know, be the Dre and I'm his Eminem. And when he passed away, it seemed like all that got put on hold. You know, it was, you know, the guy that has influenced your life so much is now not with you anymore, right? You know, and half of me just wanted to be like, man, fuck this shit, you know? I was just lost for a good while, you know? Because tomorrow's not promised, you know? And, you know, Pimp said, one day you're here, the next day you're gone, man. And that's really the truth. Like, we just lost Beat King, you know? And that was something that was like,
Beat King.
That's blows my mind, you know? So when you lose somebody like that, it really strikes a nerve. And the passing of Screw just, you know, it just changed my life forever. So, and not only Screw, but when Hawk passed away, when Big Mo passed away, you know, conspiracy theory or not, people thought, oh, if you were in the screwed up clique, you know, Grim Reaper's waiting for you somewhere, you know? And I just was just totally lost when Screw was, you know, when Screw passed. I couldn't believe it when I called my boy Lump, and I was like, man, please tell me this isn't true. And you're like, man, Toedown, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, everything you've worked for and invested in, and you wanted to make sure everything was right, and now at the point of, you know, what's going to be your career, this happens, the major, cog in the wheel is now gone, And so you just gotta do what you do. You gotta pick yourself up and you gotta get back out there. You gotta get back on that horse and, man, make it happen.
Keep on pushing.
That's right.
Now, I know you were telling me about how you went on a little vacation, you know what I'm saying? Well, can you talk about that? Can you tell me the situation?
Absolutely.
And, what happened?
So, right around 2006 to 2008, the music business had a dramatic change. And what happened was we went from wholesaling CDs for $7 a piece, where when we'd go drop off a CD to a store, we were getting $7, right? They would then turn around and sell it for 12, 14, sometimes $20 if it was a double disc. So right then, when this new thing, the internet and Napster and Apple Music come out, now we're making 70 cents a download as a record company. As an artist, you're making a percentage of that. So you're not even making, 13, 14 cents per download. And so from, basically being able to sell 100,000 records in your backyard to now we're talking about 100,000 downloads, the money just wasn't the same anymore. And so we had one last installment from Elektra, and we bought our first grow house with that. And now when I first started, growing weed, I killed everything. Like, I didn't kill it as in it was good. I mean, I literally, the weed died. Like, I'd start off great and it never would work out right? And so what ended up happening was one of my childhood friends introduced me to another person who was doing something similar, and I got on the right page. And that brought in a whole new toe down, right? It went from not just having good weed, but actually growing the best weed. And so, from 2005, 6 to 2011, if you wanted the best weed in Texas, you had to go see Toe Down. It was that fire. We're talking about if you ever smoked Sweet Tooth 3, if you've ever smoked Super Skunk, if you've ever smoked AK-47 or Blueberry White Widow, and it's coming from Toe Down. And so what ended up happening is there was two different events where I was snitched out and I was arrested in the state. And then my brother, he got snitched out, and I again was arrested a second time. And so what happened with two state cases, we went and got a lawyer named Kent Schaefer. And Kent Schaefer is a well-known attorney in Houston, Dallas, the whole nation. He basically got the case from a 50-pound state case to less than 2 ounces. What had happened in the state, when they come and they take your weed plants, they charge you for what is smokable content. And if anybody knows anything about growing weed, there's 2 cycles. There's a vegetation cycle and there's a bloom cycle. Well, during the vegetation cycle, there's no bud on the plant, right?
Can't smoke it.
They can't smoke nothing. So they cut down all these plants thinking that there was buds on it, and come to find out there's less than 2 ounces. So here they were having this, all on the news, right in front of the public. These guys are real bad guys, are rappers. They're living in a predominantly, posh neighborhood. We're going to put these guys underneath the jail, and now they have no case.
I saw the clip with the news clip. They were trying to vilify you.
That's right, man. Like, I'm some bad guy. Yeah. Like, man, if you really knew who I was, man, it's like, I like nice things too. Like, I wasn't even selling weed in my neighborhood. Like, I wouldn't do, I wouldn't do stupid shit like that. But what ended up happening was, when we beat up on the state prosecutor, she went and got her big brother, which was the feds. And so when the feds come, they got something on you. There's a high conviction rate for a reason, and that reason is they will arrest you and charge you where anybody around you, they will get them to talk. Hey, listen, we're gonna put all this time on you if you don't tell us what Toe Down did. And so people start talking, and that's how cases get made. There's no police out there doing police work. All these cases come from somebody telling. You get caught with your buddy in the car, he's gonna end up talking, he's gonna get off, and you're gonna go do the time. And then they're gonna investigate everybody that he talked about. And then they're gonna go arrest some more people, and more people are gonna start talking, and it's just this never-ending cycle, right? And so that's what kind of led to the downfall. When the Fed stepped in, the Feds weren't gonna give up on us. And so they charged us, we were looking at 40 years, because each one of the charges came with a mandatory 10 to 40 or 5 to 40. So what ended up happening is we ended up pleading out for conspiracy to manufacture marijuana. And then you get a 4-point enhancement for being a leader or an organizer or a manager. So we got the enhancements, and then we got another enhancement for maintaining a place of manufacturing. So by the time we got done, in the Feds, they have a chart, like literally, you're in this category, you're on this level, you get X amount of time, right? So when you're on a chart, by the time they started adding up all the extra points, I was looking at, 40 years. So when it came time for sentencing, I ended up getting 87 months. And that was just because we had made a deal where we had plead out to conspiracy that didn't carry a mandatory minimum. All of our other charges had a mandatory minimum, a 10 to 40, a 5 to 20. Those all, you had to do a mandatory minimum of those years. And the only one that didn't carry that was a conspiracy. And so that's why we pled out to conspiracy to manufacture marijuana. And at the time of our arrest, we had 21 grow houses. They raided 7 of them simultaneously. Like, the stories you hear, like they show up in this military gear and they knock down your door and they drag you. That's all that shit happened, and some it's the craziest shit, because you're thinking, okay, they're doing this to me, but they're not only doing it to me, but they're doing it to my brother, they're doing it to my best friend, they're doing it to my 2 cousins, all at the same time. So when the government spends all this money on you, they're gonna make sure that they get a conviction. And so what ended up happening on our case, there were 7 of us that were all on that group case, and nearly everybody turned federal witness against my brother and myself. And so I got the longest amount of time, and my brother got the second longest amount of time. But at the time, man, I fucking needed that. I was literally out there acting an ass on them. The day after my first bond, after I got my first bond from the state case, I went and bought a 600 Benz, just to show, like, I'm gonna go bust this bond, and once I get out on the streets, I'm gonna go buy a Benz, And it was a level of ignorance and flaunting and wanting to try to impress people that didn't matter, going out and spending money at the clubs on these bitches and trying to impress these girls who, 6 months into your sentence, they ain't writing you, they ain't on the phone with you, And so I learned a lot of, important shit getting locked up. I learned that I don't need to have all the flyest clothes in the world. I can be content with just this shit in my locker, And so, I knew I was going to prison, right? I just didn't know I was going to be looking at 87 months, But thanks to President Barack Obama, I was able to get 10% off my time because I was a nonviolent drug offender. And that's what brought me home in 63 months. So I did 63 months for manufacturing marijuana. Crazy shit.
Do you think you came out with a different perspective on things?
Well, there's like a 70% recidivism rate, which means 70% of the motherfuckers are going back. And if you don't change your surroundings, your environment, what you're doing, who you're fucking with, you're going to be right back in that motherfucker. And yeah, it's cool and you get used to it, and time starts to pick up and fly by, but nobody wants to go to prison. There's nothing cool about sitting in the shitter and the sewage water is little. You have to wear your boots in there because there's sewage water on the floor, or having to be in a shower with 13 other showers going on and shit. Nobody wants to be, or eating food that is not sanitary and shit. People coming from the kitchen smuggling chicken in their nut sacks to sell you a piece of chicken for 3 or 4 stamps. It's not a cool situation. So your perspective, it definitely changes you. But I tell people this all the time: if you don't change the people you're around and your environment, you're going right back to where you're, right back from where it all happened at. So.
Like they say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing.
Oh man.
Over and over again, expecting a different result.
That's right. And so, fortunately for me, since there's a lot of people talking on my case, I didn't want to go hang out with those motherfuckers anyway. So for me to come home, I knew I was already going to do something different, whether it be, an animated series or music. But the music business had changed completely. The streaming thing was the thing, and 360 deals were the thing, and the money that they were offering an artist with a track record wasn't anything compared to what I got the first time. And so I was like, I'm gonna start focusing on something else. So I started focusing on crypto, which got me into NFTs, which brought the dope heads to life.
What year was this when you got out?
So I got out in 2017, 2018.
Okay. And that's when you hopped on the crypto?
Yeah, so I immediately got into crypto, and what ended up happening is around 2020, 2021, I really got heavy into NFTs. And what ended up happening was I would be able to get into an NFT project, and I would be able to flip those NFTs before they revealed. And one night, as I was doing this trading, I'd made like $56,000.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this is a lick, But I knew I could do the NFT shit different, and I knew I could do it better. I could provide a utility. I could provide a different feeling. I could provide actual value, where it's just not a picture or a digital trading card. It's just not a picture of an ape or a picture of a cat. Or I could do something different, where if you own our NFT, it has value to it because you can audition for that character. You also get a piece of the royalties from the animated series. So there's value locked into those NFTs,
If people are interested in, like you said, buying a piece of the character, where can they check that out or get some more info?
So it's super simple. There's a place called OpenSea, or to make it really simple, just go to dopeheads.com.
Dopeheads.com.
Plain and simple. Spell it like it is. Don't put no fancy writing in there. It's dopeheads.com, and you'll be able to figure it all out from there.
Now, NFTs, I know that's digital.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit of it for those that don't know what an NFT is?
So think of it like this. You know how they used to do baseball cards in a pack?
Yeah.
Okay. So
with the gum and shit in it?
Exactly. Yeah. So baseball cards in a pack, this is just a digital asset, right?
Yeah.
It's something that you keep in your digital wallet, right? And so what happens is these NFTs, even though they're all trading cards, some can have different value due to their rarity. Like, you might not have so many of the drink characters as there are the weed characters. So holding on to a drink character is more expensive or more lucrative because there's not so many of them.
It's like in real life, it's harder to get drink.
Exactly.
Juice.
So, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. So the different characteristics of your NFT determines if it's rare or not rare. And now NFTs have come so far, there's different utilities that you can attach to the NFTs. And NFTs just don't have to be about an animation. You could do something like Tory Lanez did and release a full album. And he sold 1 million NFTs just on his album. He sold them for $1 a piece, and he made like $1 million in less than a minute. So
crazy.
NFTs can be albums, they can be art, they can be an animated series. literally they could be anything you make them to be. And we're just now at the very beginning. So if you get in early, later on down the road, you can cash in on these things.
Y'all gonna have to check out a chedda-loc NFT on the dope heads too.
It's coming, baby. You already know.
A piece of cheddar cheese or something. You know?
Man, we already got you. We'll get you your whole custom character.
Some
and
Mexican queso fresco.
Hold up, man. Hold up.
Yes, sir.
Get that queso and that queso blanco. Watch out, man. Watch out.
It's going down.
That's right.
I already
That's right.
know, man. Let me see. I got some more shit, bro. Yeah, go ahead and tell me about the dope heads. That's the cartoon you're working on with the NFTs and all that?
That's right. So they go hand in hand. So how it started was coming out of prison. I knew I was going to do something, whether it be music or film. I was going to do something. And I always wanted to reach back and do something for those people that I was locked up with. Because in prison, you meet some talented motherfuckers, man. Yeah. Artists, like I met some of the most creative artists who can tattoo from basically, jailhouse material, putting together a tattoo gun, to people who can sing, people who can write. Like, most talented people I've ever met probably came from prison. And so my thing was, what if we created an NFT that could help nonviolent drug offenders, right? Where we could look back and help those people with that 70% recidivism rate. Where if you wanted to be an artist, or you were a graphic designer, or you could do voiceover acting, now you can come join our community and that opportunity is there for you. And so that's where the idea kind of started from. And so what we end up doing is we put together a first season of NFTs, 1,000 NFTs, and we sold out. And that's what really got things cooking. And now, as I was telling you earlier, as being in the music business for 25 years, I can get a hot producer and I can get a hot artist and I can put them together in an hour a day, come up with a hit, right? But with an animated series, it's an ensemble of people, right? You need to have people who are storyboard artists, people who are writers, people who are doing voice acting. And what you have to do is you have to start off with, first is a log line, then there's a treatment, then there's a synopsis, then there's the first rendition of your script. And then once you have your script, now you need to do a storyboard. And once you have your storyboard, now you need to go get the voice action and put the storyboard together. And now you have an animatic. So the animated series is in pre-production. And we've got everybody talking about it. Big Worm from Friday, he's talking about it. Scarface, he's talking about it. Flavor Flav, everybody wants to be a voice. Yeah. And so we've made a home for people that they can come be a voice, be their own dope head. And hopefully next year around this time, hopefully we'll be there on Netflix or HBO Max or something and be bringing it straight to your crib.
I'm going to try to get it shopped around and
definitely. So
land on the best spot possible.
What I've learned is, in order to be on these platforms, you have to work with somebody who's been on that platform before. So I got a couple of feelers out right now, which are 2 positive plugs. One's for Netflix and one's for HBO Max. We're talking to currently, and they want to see the pilot. When can we deliver the pilot? How soon can we get on the pilot? So we're cooking. We just want to make sure that we present the best possible product before we take it there. And so we're in pre-production now. So if you don't have your NFT yet and you still want an opportunity to voice a character, you can still go grab an NFT. You can still come voice a character. We're doing 10 episodes our first season. They're 15-minute shows a piece, so there's plenty of opportunity. Plenty.
So is this going to be what would you call it, like a comedy?
Yeah, it's definitely a comedy. Basically, the story is the dope heads, they live in a town called Buzzburg. And there's 2 dope fashions that are kind of fighting for control. You have the natural crew, which is the weed character and the mushroom character, versus the synthetic syndicate, which is your cocaine brick guy, which is your ecstasy, which is your Xanax character.
Hard shit.
Yeah, Finny Fentanyl.
Yeah.
He's like the overboss of everybody, right? And so you have the synthetic syndicate versus the natural crew who are trying to take over the drug market in Buzzburg.
I already know I'm fucking with the natural crew. You know what I'm saying?
So ain't nothing wrong with the synthetic syndicate either. They go hard in the paint.
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely some cool shit, you know.
But don't panic, it's organic.
There you
China
go.
baby
You already
bag.
know. You already know. So it's
Yes,
crazy,
sir.
man. Like I was telling you earlier, man, when we first wrote the first script for the first episode, where it is now after so many rewrites is a complete 180, man. It's an awesome journey, but it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of preparation, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put out the best possible product.
Definitely a process behind that.
Oh,
so
definitely.
Y'all make sure to stay tuned and tapped in for that. Dope Heads coming real soon.
For sure, for
Yes,
sure.
sir. Now, Toe Down, I know you don't work with a bunch of legends, Pimp C, Hawk, ESG, you know what I'm saying? A bunch of screwed up click people. Any stories you got? Like any memorable, let me see, like a memorable interaction you had with one of them? Like that stands out top of your head, you know what I'm saying? Just something for the fans out there, for the SEC fans, all the
shit
slab,
that I
use and
can
culture,
talk
taste
about.
culture. Yeah, some you can talk about, you know what I'm saying?
Man, you know, there's just so many interesting stories that I could talk about, but one of my favorite stories to tell is the first time I met DJ Screw. You know, Hawk just got finished recording at my studio, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm about to go over to Screw's house." And I was like, "Man, listen, do me a favor, you know, take one of my songs with you and see if he likes it." And he was like, "Man, you never met Screw?" I was like, "Fuck no, I ain't never met Screw." He was like, "Well, shit, Toe Down, I'm gonna plug you up." So he hops on the phone right there in front of me, and he starts talking. "Hey, Screw, what it do, man? You know, I'm gonna have my homeboy Toe Down come through." And I'm like, "Man, this is some crazy shit. Like, I'm about to go over to Screw's house, man. It's gonna be awesome."
Going down.
So Hawk tells Screw about this guy, man. Toe Down, he can rap, man. He got his own studio. This dude's on fire. I'm gonna send him over there to you, Screw. And so Screw, he knew I was coming, and I'll never forget. My brother and I, we walk up to Screw's door and knock on the door, and right there through the bars, he opens the door, and in his hand is his AK-47, and he says, "What's up?" And I was like, "Hey man, I'm Toe Down." And he's like, "Oh, you're Toe Down? Oh man, come on in." And I was like, "Oh shit." Like, it's something when you ever get greeted at the door with an AK, and you're like, "Oh shit." And then he like looked at me and was like, "Wait, you're Toe Down? Like, you're white." Like, "Oh shit, man, come on in, man, I got you." So it took a minute for it to click that I was actually Toe Down, that this was the dude that Hawk was talking about, because I guess he was expecting somebody else, you know, a different color, I guess. And so when these two white guys showed up at his doorstep, he was like, "Man, what the fuck?" You know, so knocking on the door and Screw opening the door, and there's an AK in his hand. I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like, "Hey man, listen, I'm just here to make some music, bro." Like, you know, but it really wasn't even on that time. He was one of the most nicest, sincere, like, I just can't say enough about Screw. Like, if you had the opportunity to work with him, it was just one of the most memorable experiences, because inside Screw's house, there was no furniture. There was just records everywhere. And when Screw worked, he worked on his pace, at his time, and you might be standing up, hanging out for a day just before you got on the mic, you know, just before it was time for you to make your tape, you know. So being able to be in that environment and work with Hawk and Pokey and Screw, it's just been a blessing, man.
And this was at Screw's house?
Yeah, Screw's house. Yep. That night, I'll never forget, we ended up staying almost 2 days over there,
and it didn't even seem like 2 days. And then, you know, I mean, a Whataburger, just so much weed in the air. Like, man, you couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
And then, you know, now that I think about it, I got even more crazier story. As I was working on my first record with this group called Thugs of Another Kind, we were at a studio on the north side, and this guy we knew, he was like, "Hey man, Flavor Flav's in town, and he's looking for a studio to come record at, and he's actually coming over here to record at the studio." And I was like, man, I'd love to get Flavor Flav like on a song. Like, man, it's whatever, you know. 911 is a joke in my town. Like, man, we can do something with him. And so I'll never forget that night. Just so happened to be a night that before we got to the studio, we had all taken some acid. So if you can imagine being on acid and in walks Flavor Flav, like I felt like I was in a cartoon, man. Like, who the fuck and where am I right now? This dude got a clock on.
He walked in with the clock.
The clock was there, man, and the clock it's not even on time, right? It's just there, right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy, man. It's like, man, what the fuck? Where am I at? And so, you know, drugs are. I'm telling you, drugs are a motherfucker, boy.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, but yeah.
What Rick James saying, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug, but shit, being on acid and Flavor Flav, I'll never forget that night. And we end up like going out to get something to eat or something, and it was like 5 guys in a Cadillac, right? And Flavor Flav was skinny, right? So Flavor Flav's in the back seat with me and 2 other dudes. And man, I'm still tripping, right? Yeah. So 5 guys in a car with this guy wearing a clock, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the sun's coming up, and we're going to get something to eat, and it's in that weird zone where you're coming down, but you're still high and fucked up, and you kind of realize where you're at, and you're like, wait a minute, we just been in the studio with Flavor Flav. Like, that's some crazy shit.
Did he have his Viking helmet on?
No, he didn't have his Viking helmet on then. No.
That's crazy.
You know, what is a trip, I'll never forget this. When we met Flavor Flav, this was before Flavor of Love and all that success, and we would go to the mall and you'd hear people holler out, "Hey Flav, hey Flav," you know, a couple times as you're walking down the mall. But after the Flavor of Love thing came out, and after people saw him on TV, when we went back to those same malls, it was a different story. He needed security to walk in those places. Now he's at the Olympics, blowing shit up at the Olympics. He's everybody's favorite mascot in the Olympics, and it's crazy to see, you know, a man like that who's been in the music business this long and have such a long career. Like, he truly reinvents himself over and over, and you know, people still talk about Flavor Flav to this day.
It's definitely a character.
Definitely a character. Can't wait for you to hear him live in the Dope Heads.
Can you tell us what character he's voicing, or is that a?
So he has his own character.
So
he has his own character.
Okay.
So he's definitely his own character.
Yeah.
You know, I could try to put Flav as one of the weed characters, but him as his own character is plenty enough.
He could be the primo.
He could be shit. He could be more than the primo. Shit. He could be a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah. What's it called? During this time, Flav, he stayed in Houston. He stayed in H-Town?
Yeah, so this was probably late 90s, early 2000. He actually came and lived in Houston for a while.
I didn't know that.
So Flav is one of the most talented motherfuckers. Like, you would never believe. He knows how to play like over 1,000 instruments. I'm just kidding. But he knows how to play like the drums, the piano, the cello. Like, it's the craziest shit ever. Like, you would never expect this guy could play so many instruments.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I remember one night we were working on a song together, and Flav, this was back when things were analog. You had to twist shit by knobs, right? And so we mixed down the song. So each one of the channels has an EQ on it, and you got to turn the knobs to the settings in those EQs, right? Nothing is recall, like where you hit a button and it all automatically recalls. This is all you had to turn by hand and then write down on your notes where the track was. So we get done mixing the song, you know, 5-6 hours later. Flav, he don't like the mix. Like, man, it's just something not right. I don't like the mix. Fuck it, tear it down. And after all that work, went and turned all those knobs back to zero, pulled all the faders down, and started all the way over again. I will never forget that shit. I was like, damn, we just wasted 6 hours. And now he's saying the song don't sound right, and now we got to mix all this shit over again. It was just crazy.
Had to start over.
Had to start all the way over. But now everything's digital, right? You get total recall when you pull it up on the computer. Everything is exactly where it was the last time you messed with it. The music business has just sped up so much. It's literally light years from when we were recording on a tape to having to do a punch in to how people are recording now. Like, back then, there was a real art to recording. That's why they would call them recording artists. Because just like magic, when you see magic, you're like, oh my God. Well, in music, it's the same thing. When you hear it, you don't know how it's done. It just sounds really good. But there's an artistry that goes to that. And that's why people are called recording artists. Because there would be a way that you would record something to make it sound like that. To get that reverb a special way, or how someone was, layering their vocals and what they did. Now I can punch a button and have 50 different stacks and a whole bunch of compressors and EQs all on the same thing. It's totally different.
Definitely way easier now, right?
Way easier. One of the things back then is you would need to leave the studio with a copy of your work for that night, and depending on your song, in order to get a copy of it, the song had to play through at the regular speed onto a cassette. So if you had 5 cassettes and your song was 5 minutes long, you had 25 minutes just in putting the music on the cassettes. So imagine, if you have 10 songs and you have an instrumental, a cappella, a clean version, a dirty version, a stemmed out version. So 6 times every time that song fully passed, the shit starts to add up in studio time, right? So just in bouncing the music down would take, a full 8-hour session.
Damn.
Now to bounce things down, you click the button one time, it bounces a whole song in less than 2 or 3 seconds. So things has drastically changed.
Yeah, shit's definitely changed. Now everything's online too, streaming.
Definitely.
Saying all that shit. And now anybody can record in the house in the restroom.
For real, and that's what's crazy is because you don't need fancy equipment to make a hit. If you know your equipment, right, you can work on a cracked or hacked version of Fruity Loops and make just as an exciting song as me going to $1 million studio and recording. It's really knowing your equipment, right? Beyond that, it's knowing, do I have something? Do I have a hit, right? And so what I would tell anybody who wants to be an up-and-coming producer, start off, if you don't know anything about music, start off just replicating. Find somebody you like and figure out how they made that beat. Go remake that beat. Now you know how to make that beat. Now you know what sounds went into it, what not, what twist, whatever. You make that beat. And what's going to end up happening is the more knowledge you get, now you're able to put your own flavor into it and make your own magic happen.
Your own twist on it.
Put your own twist on it and then take that to the next level, As long as you're different and unique, people are going to gravitate towards that, Don't be the next Lil Wayne. They already have a Lil Wayne, Be the next you.
Be yourself.
Be yourself, There's so many people that I hear that sound similar to somebody. That's cool when you're trying to learn something, but don't try to come out and say, oh, I'm the next this, that, and that. Be yourself. Be something original. Be something different. If you're worried about what people are going to think about you, this is probably not the industry for you, Be different. Dare to be different. And then, grasp that. And then rock with it.
You talking about telling people to be themselves, be different. A lot of people sound the same. What do you think about that now? Like in the game, now the rap game, everybody sounds the same like it used to be. Like you could hear somebody like, oh, they're from New York, the way they rap. You hear from somebody from Texas, oh, they must be from Texas coming down. Ooh, and from Cali. You can tell they're from Cali, but not everybody has a real similar sound. What's your opinion on that, bro?
Well, listen. You know, when you're bold enough to be different, you know, Kendrick Lamar spits fire, right? He's really great at what he does. He has his own unique sound. When you're, you know, copying somebody else's style, you're just basically showing me that you're a good copycat, you know? And if you're not creative enough to come up with your own shit, then that lets me know that I don't want to jam you right. I'm not looking to jam you. Why am I going to jam you when I can go jam the artist who you copy, you know, sounding like, you know? I don't want to hear the next Wu-Tang Clan. I've already got the Wu-Tang Clan. I don't want to hear the next Bun B and Pimp C. I've already heard Bun B and Pimp C. Be something different. And that's why I got so much respect for artists like the Mexican OT, because he's not just another Hispanic artist coming out of Texas, you know, with the same similar flow, you know? He's different. However he rolls his letters or whatever the fuck, that's him, you know? And every time you turn on a song that he's done, you know it's him. And you should, you know, gravitate to be something different, you know? Again, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different insanity. It's what it is.
Have you worked with OT yet? Have you met him?
Oh, I met him a couple times. Mexican OT's got his actually own custom dope head. Yeah, so met him a couple times. It's basically his first album cover, but it's the weed character as him. And you can check it out on Dopehead's Instagram. The Dopeheads. It's at the Dopeheads _ and you can check it out. But yeah, I met him and his pops a couple times. Went gave him a nice bag of merch, and man, I've met him 3 or 4 times. Real cool guy. His pops is super cool, and yeah, man, I'm a big fan, big fan.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Mexican OT, man. Definitely doing this thing.
Yes, sir.
Shit, y'all go check out the dope page. There's some of the Homeboy Toe Down's merch right here, the air freshener.
That's right, man. Listen, we got it all, man. So if you're liking the drip, if you're like, man, where can I get that shit at? It's real simple. It's thedopeheads.com. And you know, if you're looking for us on Instagram, we're at thedopeheads _ You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, all those other spots at Dopeheads. And if you just get really lazy about it, you just Google Dopeheads and we'll pop up.
Y'all hear that? Y'all go tap in.
We got everything. Papers. We got air fresheners. We got everything you want. We got dog bowls, dog leashes, flip-flops. We got everything you want. I mean, if you need a 2-piece bikini for your gal, we got the Dopeheads one. Anything you can think of. And so,
hear that? Get something for your lady or for your gumma.
Everything.
Everything.
Love it, man.
Yes, sir. Toe Down, any new projects you working on, homie?
Yeah, so I'm working on a new album right now. I'm putting some new tracks together. So be looking for that. You can find that Instagram, TOW.down. Or again, just Google Toe Down, it'll pop up. But yeah, working on some new music right now. Got some new tracks coming. But my main focus right now is the Dopeheads and making sure the Dopeheads gets off and really does this motherfucking thing.
Yeah, definitely some clean ass stuff right there.
Yes, sir.
Last question before we sign off, Toe Down. Shit, anybody? I know you said your main focus right now is the Dopeheads, but music wise, anybody that you want to work with, you still haven't worked with?
Who? Man. There's a couple. Man, to be real with you, man, the only person that I haven't locked down as far as a feature yet, I definitely want to try to reach out to maybe like Kendrick Lamar, or maybe try to do something with like 2 Chainz or something like that. I think that'd be kind of fly.
I think 2 Chainz one would be dope.
But yeah, I really haven't. I really haven't met Kendrick Lamar yet. Haven't met 2 Chainz yet. What's really weird about 2 Chainz is one of my best friends actually knows him very well, and I just haven't crossed that path yet. But definitely a Toe Down 2 Chainz song would definitely be off the chain.
So you could even get him on the dope heads, bro.
Man, you already know that's coming.
You know what I'm saying?
Any opportunity I get, you already know it's about the dope heads.
Hey, it's going down when y'all hear that. Y'all make sure to stay tuned. Dope heads, Toe Down, chedda-loc, True Spill. Shit, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We signing off. Triple D to H-Town. Y'all know what's up. True Spill. Chill.
Yes, sir. chedda-loc,
Hey,
man.
appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Nah, man,
Appreciate you having me,
Hell
man.
yeah.
You need anything, man, just holla at your boy.
Hell yeah, bro. Shit.